Hey, I just want to welcome you to the Outlaw Process podcast show today. We got a very, very special guest, and I'm super excited to talk about Chad and Roz. And we've had the best time in the past couple of days, and it has been a life-changing event, I feel like, for me. And I just want to say, I want to introduce them to you because I was just like, this the perfect kind of vibe, the perfect, when you get together with a couple of people, sometimes it's like it's the vibe, just, it. And welcome, Chad.
Thank you. I've had a great time. It's been pretty awesome jamming and learning how to make the drums. It's been really fun.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that, man. It's been super fun. And so I want to tell the audience about a little bit more about you and about kind of your story and how you even came to playing the drums. So tell me how you even got to playing the drums and how it came about.
Oh man. Well, sitting around in the dorms really in college back almost it's probably 32 years ago with a bunch of buddies, and only one of our friends played guitar, and he just said, let's start a band. So we were all, well, who's going to play what instrument, and somehow I kind of got thrown into, you're going to be the drummer. So I called up another buddy who was a really great drummer from high school and asked him if he had any drums laying around, and he said, yeah, I got this old kit that I bought from Myers. So, and it was basically plywood and cardboard is what it really was. So I used those, would stack the drums. They didn't have any reso heads on them, so I just stack all the drums inside each other and then put the cymbals on top. And that was how I'd get them around to our gigs in backyards back then. So that was the early to mid 90s. And we've been the same band. We had a different name back then, and there's 6 of us, core of us, and we just have been playing forever since then, for the last 30 years, and now we're all empty nesters and starting to play gigs more in breweries, and now we have our first big one coming up in an actual real live event in Grand Rapids. So we're looking really, really forward to it. It's going to be really great. We're opening for a band who's toured around the country, and so we feel honored that they even thought of us.
What's the band?
Domestic Problems is the band, and the name of our band is Half Ton Band.
Half Ton.
Yeah.
Boom.
That's yeah. And that's kind of a funny story in itself. When we started this back in college, we were all pretty fit and thin. And then one day in around 2001, we were in the studio jamming out, and we're like, we need a new band name. And one of the guys is like, well, we've all gained so much weight. How about the Ton Band? And then somebody else is like, Half Ton Band. And we're like, that's it, Half Ton Band. So, and it stuck. That's what it's been ever since. So.
Yeah, I like the half ton it because that's my truck's a half ton. So that works out perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So tell me about some of your drumming influences, like some of the people that you really kind of look up to. That some people that's like, because I know a few of them that we was kind of talking in the shop.
Well, there's so many, and most of the ones the guys that I really love listening to, I can't emulate at all. But like Danny Carey comes to mind.
Yeah, Danny's amazing.
He's Ray Lutzier from Korn comes to mind. Carter Beaufort is probably my favorite, just because my wife and I listen to so much of Dave Matthews Band. So, guys like that I wish I could play some of the things they do, and I try, but but Charlie Watts too is probably more in line with where I end up being, is just laying down the groove and the backbeat and just sticking with it. That's kind of more where I'm at. So, but yeah.
Over the years of like seeing the drumming coming down, do you see yourself kind of changing different like styles? Because I remember I used to be obsessed with like racks. I had to have the whole rack system, and then like now I'm like, no more racks. I gotta have this. Now that the racks are coming back, everybody wants racks now. Yeah. And I was like, man, I don't know. So what do you think about that? You think it's?
I thought about getting a rack with this new kit that I got, but I decided against it.
Tell me about this kit that you just got.
Well, it's kind of a dream kit. I've been thinking about for probably 10 years. Before Christmas, I just asked my wife, I'm like, well, what do you think about this?
Well, you've got the coolest wife, and she's behind the camera. She's hiding over here, tucked away.
But I'm like, what about instead of, a gift of clothes or whatever, just the typical Christmas gift or whatever, what about if I got something I really, really wanted. It'd be like a kid Christmas gift situation again. And she's like, okay, yeah, let's go for it. Which is cool of her. I mean, it's so cool, you know. So I just started really researching. I mean, I was going back and forth between Sonar and DW. And I heard pros and cons of both and kept going back and forth. And there's this one guy that owns a local drum shop called Rit Drum in Grand Rapids. And his name's Scott, and I just asked Scott, you know, what's your thoughts on this? And he said he talked about hardware, and if you're ever out on a gig or something and you need to pick up a piece of hardware that broke on you for some reason, you know, I would go with the DW because you can find it, and so that's what I did, and ended up finding the exact kit I wanted, the color and everything I wanted. I've always wanted a white kit, so it's called Crystal. White Crystal, and it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, and I played it 2 weeks ago at a gig at Founders Brewery in Grand Rapids, and the kick drum sounded like a cannon, and people were telling me that, and it made me feel great. So. And I can't wait to use one of the 2 snares that we made with that kit. It's going to be awesome.
So what is the sound that you kind of are after to achieve? Like the sound that you kind of, because sometimes you have something in your head and you're like, I got to have a particular sound to kind of match that. Because I know when we was making the snares, we was trying to kind of go with a set, kind of almost like you made it like a shotgun, kind of. Yeah. You almost kind of was stating that.
And I think we accomplished it, honestly, with the mahogany and pine.
Yeah.
It's got that sound. It's warm, but it also has that just a real low crack to it. And so that's really, you know, out of a snare. I've always played a superphonic, which I love, but I wanted a really good wood snare. Yeah. Hence your drums. And so both of the pine and the mahogany and pine have that sound I'm looking for. They're different. The all pine is more bright and a little more crisp, but they both have that just great rim shot crack to it, and that's what I wanted. So.
And it's kind of funny how that mahogany snare came to be too, because we was like milling, and there was a little spot underneath the wood that you couldn't really tell until after we'd milled it, and I was cutting the bearing edge. I was like, oh my God, it's got a void right here in it. And we was like, we got 3 options here. We could cut the snare drum down and make it smaller. I could try to like put some epoxy in it, or mill the shell down. Each one of them, you could risk, you know, kind of going through it. We was like, milling the shell down kind of came to lines first and trying to cut that thing out. And then when we was milling the shell down, we was like, well, how cool it'd be to give it, because since it was a little bit milled, a little bit thinner on the sides, we was like, man, we don't want to get the shell too thin. Yeah. So we left the center of it chunky.
Yeah, it's about 2 inches probably on the inside. All the way around it. It's like a belt almost inside. Yeah. Man, I don't know. I think it made a great sound.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like it gives it that sturdiness, but at the same time, almost gives it that mass. Because the heavier the drum is, too, the more mass it has. Like the lighter, the more resonation, the more vibration, but not necessarily the volume. Right. You know. Right. Where having that gives it that punch. You know. And I always think about mahogany being like the perfect jazz, low light jazz snare that has a lot of sensitivity, because even when you was working with the different types of wood, tell me the difference between like the pine and mahogany when you was like,
well, when you were sanding it, especially the mahogany would just, I mean, it in no time it was smooth, but the pine, it took a while. And then when you were milling it, same thing. I mean, when we had to do that milling to get to the belt inside the mahogany pine snare, it took a while to get through all that pine because it's such a hard wood. But man, the sound of that drum is... Yeah, man. I love both of them. They're just amazing. You're so talented at what you do. So, man, what a fun time. Man. And the jamming. I mean, we've been jamming.
We've been jamming a lot. I think we could have just...
Try to create some music.
Yeah, we've got like 3 songs that we're kind of working on. Yeah. I think that was kind of cool.
It blows me away. I can't believe it. I came down here to make drums and we're making music too.
We're making music.
That's cool.
I'm not turning. I got to where I'm playing the guitar a lot here lately. Just jamming out
and really good at it. And we've got a vibe, which
we do
cool.
got a vibe, and I feel like we could really put some stuff together. We're gonna play some songs here on this video, and so tell me about why Georgia. What happened? Why come to Georgia? Like when we were first time talking a little bit, like.
Well, Roz, my wife, was trying to find.
Let me just say this, right?
Present.
She is. Roz is like. She loves drums. She loves playing drums. And she does have a perk. What was your perk again? What would you say your perk was with drummers?
That y'all need to play the floor time way more.
More floor time.
More floor time. Not more cowbell, more floor time.
Lots more floor time.
She likes the thump, for sure.
And this was like a gift.
It was our anniversary, our 19th anniversary gift. And she was up every night. And I'm like, what are you doing up so late on work nights and stuff? And she was like, I just have to get some work done myself, but she was trying to search for something that was create drums. What can she create drums with? Yeah, immersive
experience.
There you go, immersive drum experience. And it kept showing up, like drum circles and making different kinds of like bongos or congas and stuff, but not snares or any part of a drum kit. And then all of a sudden she stumbled on Outlaw Drums and this experience. And looked into it, and man, has it been the best. I mean, this has been the best present I probably have ever had.
No,
honestly. It's been so cool.
Well, I feel like I've met some lifetime friends here, and not only friends, but just like brother, man. We got a lot of vibes, and I feel like we connect in a lot of different ways, and especially through the music part of it, aspect of it too. And just it is kind of weird. You get to. Well, we spent at least 4 days together.
4 days, yeah.
And you get to know somebody that long, and and I'm just so appreciative. And so what do you think? What would you think about going through the whole experience? Like, okay, we're starting off, we're cutting boards now. Is there a part of the process that you liked the most, that you thought it was kind of the most kind of like?
I don't know if there really was something I liked the most. It was all so unique,
like
and
with the
new.
spraying part of it, because that's kind of the art of sanding, where it really kind of starts coming to life, and we put the different stuff on it.
Yeah, I mean, they all were just new experiences for me, So it was all so cool to see it come from a piece of wood to then how we cut them, lined them up, put the angles on them, got them together, glued them together. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, there's a shell. Yeah. And then you start doing the sanding and then the milling and then putting the lacquer on one, putting wax on the other. Every day's been really cool. And just to see the drum go from a piece of wood to this just beautiful piece of art and just sounds so thick. And just, man, what a crack. I just love it. It's so cool. So cool.
Yeah, man. And I like that because you love a guitar part that has some meat to it. So it's like you're trying to get a snare drum a lot of times to kind of cut through a lot of the stacks, a lot of guitar, and that's kind of my jam too. I love metal rock country kind of vibe.
That's it. Yeah.
And that's what you do too.
I'm heavy on the kind of the mix of country and rock and roll, or heavy rock and roll together right now. There's something unique about it.
It needs some punch.
It needs some punch, and like I said, I'm a pretty simple drummer, so as long as I can just drive the beat and let you just go with it, I mean, that's what's cool.
What about that jam that we were just doing? How it's just like there's parts of the song where we were just kind of trying to work it out, and so there's parts where we almost kind of step like a halftime step, when we breaking that part down, and he was just like driving it. And we just got to get some lyrics on that bad.
We do, and then but that all of a sudden breakdown to that slow tempo situation, it just created a whole vibe to the song, which I think made the song bigger and more enjoyable to listen to. Actually, so I mean, it's a work in progress. We're still figuring it out, but man, it sounds pretty cool, especially for just meeting each other.
It's almost kind of like you almost kind of know when you first get together like that, when you start jamming, you're like, you almost kind of, you know kind of where I'm going, and I know kind of where you're going, and it's just like the same wavelength kind of goes together there, man.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, well, I sure do appreciate y'all for deeply appreciate y'all, and we've had some really good times, man. Is there anything else you want to say on anything else you want to say?
We just Outlaw Drums. If you have a chance, you got to come see Michael because you're going to have a great experience and so much fun. And he and Mama will treat you like family, and you're going to make a really cool drum, and it's going to be a piece of art, but it's also going to be something you can just wail on. So highly recommended. Great guy, just a cool atmosphere. All the workshop, the studio. He's got a studio at his home too, so we got to see that. And man, I just honestly can't tell you enough how enjoyable this has been. And I think a lifelong friend now too.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yes, man. Well, y'all remember to check out the guys' band, man. Half Ton
Band.
And yeah, they got some good stuff. And a lot of if y'all like the kind of stuff that we're playing, you're gonna love what these guys are doing. And y'all stay in touch. And man, thank you, man.
Thank you,
man.
brother.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you.
Yes. Peace.